friends at Tivoli Brewing Company and the Department of Communication Arts and Sciences at MSU Denver, this is Unfiltered. And here are your hosts, Jay Schrader and Dr. Samuel J.
Can't sleep. You're just lying there awake.
Who are we talking to? What's your name?
Oh, I'm Jordan.
What's your last name, Jordan?
Fink.
And where are we?
Woods Boss Brewing Company.
Jay, I usually ask you that. Do you know the address?
2210 California Street.
2201. Shit. I really have no use here today. No purpose.
It's only half dyslexia if you only mix up two.
Yeah, I drove around it fucking 3 times, though.
Two things. They put on Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings since I walked in here with a shirt on. So I appreciate that. But it's also next to the British Bulldog. Is it the British Bulldog? Is that what it's called?
It's 3 blocks away.
Yeah.
So it's pretty close.
Good soccer bar.
Yeah.
Very good football.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
Oh, of course I've been to the British Bulldog. But we have brunch every Sunday at the lobby right down the street, too. Which is damn good breakfast.
I think our beer's there. They're trying to get our beer in there or something.
Oh, are they?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
So they actually almost didn't seat my grandparents in a party of 8
Fuckers.
last
Am I allowed to
week.
curse on this, by the way?
Yeah, please
Okay.
do. Please do.
Encourage?
And it actually caused a bit of a flap, and we almost didn't go back on Sunday because they know us so well, but there's been a turnover in management. So if you're struggling to get your beer in there, maybe now's the time to do it.
I don't think we're struggling. I think that they hit us up about doing. They wanted to do like one of those beer war things where they put you and 4 other people on tap for a month and
See who
sells the most, and then put you on tap for like 4 months after that.
What's the lobby?
It's just a fucking breakfast restaurant down the street. It's amazing. It's in this ancient hotel, and they do bottomless mimosas for like $12. Yeah, Jordan's over here busting balls.
All day.
I'm actually. No, you do have to do it in NPR. We've got a new addition to the crew here too.
Please introduce yourself. You have to say it. Please introduce yourself.
In the NPR voice?
No, just a regular
Hi, Chad.
ginger-bearded.
Did you guys name the ginger beer after? Of course.
Who are you?
Damn, it feels good to be a ginger.
It's true.
That's what it is.
It's a rye beer we're talking about here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your first name, last
A
name.
lot of ginger, actually.
Yeah, I'm Chad Moore. I'm one of the co-founders here at Woods Boss Brewing Company.
Yes, you are.
Here
Proud
for
of you,
beer.
buddy.
So how did
I'm
you
proud of
two meet? Because you're both East Coast assholes.
Yeah, I'm Yankees. He's Red Sox.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
An asshole and then whatever.
Just an
Yankee
asshole.
is.
So how did you get that? Like, okay, let's start from zero.
Okay, so I was born 1977.
Oh, good.
How were you conceived?
I don't know, but my parents used to call me up when I was in college and play the fucking tape of my birth at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Good God.
Every year. Yeah, it was a great way to wake up.
Can we skip
They
the part
recorded
we
that?
They did, yeah, on like a little handheld,
That's
like
fucked up,
dictaphone sort of thing.
That's absurd.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't want any part of that.
tells you a little bit of something about me. Chad and I met through mutual friends a long time ago, 6-7 years ago now, something like that.
Here in town?
Actually, at Red Rocks.
Okay.
We were at
Railroad
a
Earth concert.
Railroad Earth concert, hanging out with my buddy Dan Weisletter and my wife Michelle, and Chad and his wife Katie were walking right in front of us, and Katie used to live with Chad's wife when they were ski bumming as, early 20-something-year-olds in Breckenridge. So we met at that show and just kept running into each other through mutual friends or other shows. And
Yeah. And then, what was it, 2014?
14.
I pulled into the parking lot over at Dick's Sporting Goods at the Fish Show, and who pulls up right next to me? Jordan. And we got out and started just chatting about, kind of this, that, and the other thing. And then all of a sudden, Jordan was like, hey, I'm looking at trying to start a brewery at some point or close here. I'm sick of making killer beer and not being able to call it my own.
So where were you making it before that?
So I got my start at Tommyknocker.
Okay.
And when Chad and I were chatting at this particular fish show, I'd just been hired to go help start the first craft brewery in Nepal, and was leaving in like 3 weeks or something like that. So I went to Nepal to help build this brewery with Charlie Sturdivant from Golden City Brewing, and the guys from the Sherpa House in Golden. And
That's crazy.
yeah, no,
I've never even heard this story.
But so Chad and I kept in touch while I was over there and trying to figure out, if this was a good fit and if it was a go. Anyway, got back and we sat down for a beer somewhere. Wits End, I think.
Woods End. Yeah.
So wait, hold on. How long were you over there?
7 months.
7 months.
7 months.
So you're starting in Nepal. You're eating a lot of great Indian food,
Yeah.
Nepalese food.
Yeah.
Correct. And you guys are just
We're
what
just
are you
like
doing at
Skyping.
this time?
So I was working at Lockheed Martin, and but during that time we were Skyping back and forth, talking about a business plan. We actually surprisingly didn't really talk about, at first anyway, the brewery itself. We were talking about what kind of a business, how we would want to run it, how we would want to make sure we were expressing our desire to be in the community and being
Who
a
we
part
wanted to
and
be.
who we wanted to be, as a brand and as a company, and what we wanted to represent. And then obviously evolved more into now into the brewing process and what we're doing and what we wanted to represent.
Yeah.
So
Was it always going to be a brewery? I mean,
Yeah,
you guys put a lot. You guys
absolutely.
put a lot of thought on the front end into sounds like culture and community. But
Yeah.
okay. So my second question is, how does a guy that goes to enough fish shows that you keep running into each other at get a job at Lockheed Martin?
I've been working at Lockheed Martin. Well, I was working at Lockheed Martin for 10 years, and before that, I was working for Bechtel Engineering, an engineering firm. Big IT security guy.
Huh. That seemed like something that wouldn't get you past the clearance test, but
Everybody's got to release somehow, right?
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, it was interesting because I knew I wanted to open up a brewery, and I thought enough about brewing. So far, so good. But what I didn't know anything about was business. And Chad.
Oh, come on. You knew a little bit about
Well,
it.
I mean, yeah, I knew enough to, really make some bad choices if I'd been doing it on my own. But so I was looking for a partner who understood business and finance and all this other stuff. And we started talking. Chad's background is in business. He'd started a couple before. And you have an MBA too, in fact, I believe.
I have an MBA and I have a Master's of Systems Engineering.
Right. I've got a master's in high school science education. So there we go.
So I mean, that takes a lot of self-awareness, though, to say I want to start a brewery,
Yeah.
and I have a little bit of the business stuff, but not enough to actually make it successful.
Right.
How do you have that self-awareness? Is it your parents? Is it is it getting your ass kicked as a kid? What is
it?
it?
I was invited to Mensa when I was like 7, so
Were you
maybe
really?
that's it.
So you're really smart. A smart ass.
No idea. Supposedly,
them.
yeah. No, look, I mean, I think that part of it is I knew I wanted to open up a brewery years ago, which is why I got a job at Tommyknocker, so that I could actually learn how to do it and execute well when I wanted to open up a brewery.
Okay.
I wanted to learn everything I possibly could because I was homebrewing my ass off and I was loving it, but there were so many things that I knew I didn't know. And there were things that I didn't know I didn't know. And the only way to actually do that is get a job. And I lucked into a job at Tommyknocker, learned a ton, learned even more when I was overseas in Nepal building brewery from scratch. I mean, these guys were literally making bricks by hand.
Damn.
It was fascinating and terrible at the same time. But, I mean, the other thing is I knew that I couldn't do it on my own. I didn't want to do it on my own. I wanted a partner. I wanted a friend who would do this with me. And, focusing on the brewery is a lot. It's enough without having to also know how to obtain all the different licenses and, manage P&L sheets, which I still don't entirely understand. So.
Do you give a shit? Do you don't want to? Do you care about?
Of course
that?
I care.
Okay.
I mean, my financial future is tied up into this
Right,
place.
right.
That being said, Chad knows it better and is better at it. So we have our own buckets that we're the expert in, and we both overlap in each other's buckets.
So how do those conversations sound? Like when you're like, how often do you have to have these conversations in which your expertise and your expertise cross paths? Is it a weekly thing? Is it a monthly thing?
I mean, the conversation's ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah, we talk every
single
day.
day.
Okay.
I mean, it's an ongoing conversation. If you're more asking, like, when do you actually sit down and talk about a P&L with each other?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about that probably
Once a quarter.
Yeah, probably once a quarter in a depth scenario.
Yeah.
But that's cash flow and what the bottom line looks like, and monthly status and weekly status at some point. During the winter, it's a weekly status of where we're at, what's going on, and making sure we're both on that same page so that we can manage right.
That was the Pulaski Pecan Brown, by the way.
Tastes like pecan pie.
Pretty good.
That was really good.
I'll get in there in a second. Wow, I haven't seen you this happy ever. I guess we've never gone to Vegas together. But
Well, never mind.
I've got a buddy who brews at a brewery in Vegas. I actually used to brew with him at Odyssey.
Which brewery?
I have to look at the wall. I don't.
There's only one brewery that I know of, and it's Sin City, and it's been there forever.
It's not in Vegas proper. It's right outside of. I'll figure it out. I'll let you know.
Yeah, it's not critical. Believe me, I'm here for window treatment only today.
I'm sorry that I asked these tough questions, but it's nice.
All good.
Were you expecting? Did you have the confidence in yourselves when you started this that mitigated, or at least rounded out the corners of the success you've had? Like, this is considered, I mean, for us as beer drinkers and people who know, from the beer consumer side pretty well, one of the best breweries in town. Did you think this was going to happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, seriously.
No,
like,
I mean,
our friends love coming here. Our
Thank you.
friends, I mean, people from all demographics love coming here.
Look, I don't mean to sound egotistical when I say we had confidence, and we're proud of what we do, and we're happy with where we're at and how we're received. But I think is also more than just having confidence in ourselves, was having confidence in each other.
Yeah.
So when I got back from Nepal, we were writing our business plan, looking for funding, and trying to find a place. And we had actually found a place up in Evergreen, which ultimately fell through at the last minute. But during this time, it actually worked out well. I mean, that was like, this sort of childhood fantasy of having a little mountain brewery, and I live in the hills anyway. So, but at that time, Chad was gearing up to take a 8-month South American road trip with his wife and his dog. Bought a overlander truck and shipped it down to Buenos Aires, and then spent the next 8 months just cruising through the South America, Pan American Highway. And, the folks who knew me best were like, what the hell are you doing? Like, what is this guy doing? He's taking off. You're trying to start a business. I was like, no. This is the guy. And I want him to go have this experience. And you should talk about this experience. Because it happened to you.
You're doing a pretty good job there,
Yeah.
actually. No, it was one of those things that I was at a point in my career where I had worked international business development for about 4 or 5 years, and I was grinding to the bone, and got to a point where I needed to find my soul. I needed to go and get away for a while and get some time for myself and my wife, and have some of those experiences that kind of make us inspired. And I customized my truck, shipped it down to Buenos Aires, drove to Patagonia, spent about 5 weeks in Patagonia, and then went all the way up the Carretera Austral to Cartagena, Colombia.
Jeez.
And we camped out for 228 days in the back of my truck.
That's awesome.
So me, my wife, and my dog, it was wild. It was unreal.
And whenever he could get internet access, we were Skyping, and I was looking for properties, and literally he'd be in the middle of fucking nowhere, and I'd be walking around some shithole with my phone, like, what do you think about this spot? And that happened at least 30 times.
Yeah. During that time, we looked at almost 80 properties while I was away.
Mm-hmm.
And by we, I mean, I guess he did.
Yeah.
But But yeah, I mean, we
Some
we're
of which are now
constantly
breweries,
in,
actually.
in that research mode and that building partnership mode while he was gone in Nepal, and then again when I was gone, and that partnership just grew and grew, and then the more trust we built because we knew what we wanted and knew we had this expectation when we came back that we were going to get after it and try to build this community brewery that we've been dreaming about.
Would either or both of you not necessarily traveling have changed the way that partnership developed a little bit? I mean, if you hadn't gone to Nepal and you were here for that whole time, would something else have caught your eye? Or if, Chad, you hadn't gone to South America and you were just working? Yeah, I mean, like if you're
talking about proving the null hypothesis here, right?
that sounds smart. I mean, I don't even know what that fucking means. So, but yeah, that sounds. If I can glean apart the meaning of what your statement was, yeah, it sounds like.
I mean, the answer is who the fuck knows?
Okay, well, there you go.
I mean, these are all formative experiences, not only for us individually, but for us and how we went about doing this, and they're important stories about who we are and who Woods Boss is and what we're all about. So yeah, I mean, to that extent, I'd say it was really important. But would this have not happened, or would it have not come about in the same way? I mean,
Who the fuck knows?
You know, it's
Right.
amazing that one of the first questions that comes to mind when I think about, okay, how would it have changed? And the part that makes me so concerned or worried about it is this building.
Really?
The building we found.
Just timing
The
wise?
building we're in right
Yep.
now, the timing was so perfect on so many different levels. I mean, just from being able to have the opportunity to even build a brewery in this building is incredible, to the zoning laws changing 45 days after we signed the lease that would have made it impossible for us to build a
afford
brewery
this,
here.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there's so many factors that went into it that, things fell into place in a good way. And this building is gorgeous.
It's funny, we were supposed to sign a lease on the Flight Co. building, actually.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, so the landlords were looking at that building, and they had a bunch of issues with the city. They needed to know that, the things that they were looking for would be okay. The issue around that at the time was parking, and they couldn't come to terms with the city, so they moved on and found this building and asked us if we were interested. And Chad actually came and saw this before me and was like, holy fuck, yeah. And beautiful. I came and saw it, I was like, I don't know. And he's like, no. Two things. One, don't think about how it looks now, think about how it's going to look. I'm like, okay. And he's like, and don't think about the way the neighborhood looks now, think about where the neighborhood's going to go. I was like, okay, I'm on board. And yeah, I mean,
To be clear, this place was a shithole.
yeah,
Well,
total.
yeah, I mean, right here.
Yeah.
I was here 10 years ago. I mean,
Yeah,
this place
it looked
was-
like a falling down, abandoned crack house.
The building, too, not just the surrounding area, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, so the landlords bought this for whatever amount and put in almost the exact amount back into, which was a lot of fucking money, into fixing it up.
Just to getting it habitable?
Yeah, and
More or less.
Yeah. Something that tenants would actually see as valuable
Sure.
and wanting to move into, and it's been a great partnership with our landlords as well.
What's the name mean?
Woods Boss?
Yeah.
So it means more than one thing. The root of it is it was my job title at one point. So I worked for the Forest Service for a number of years, building trails, fighting fires. And then I worked for a youth conservation corps, also building trails, doing conservation work, but with teenagers over the course of spring, summer, and fall. So taking, kids out in the woods, 16 to 19-year-olds, doing trail work, conservation, environmental education, life skills, work skills, team building, all that sort of stuff, modeled after the Civilian Conservation Corps sort of thing. So I started as a crew leader and then became what's known as a Woods Boss, which is a field manager. So I was managing 4 crews of combined 40 kids and 8 adults. And I was, the technical expertise, and I would bring the hammer when it was required and the leaders couldn't handle it. I would bring the crazy fun and work ethic, someone to spice up the week. I handled weekend sites and resupplies and all sorts of stuff. And it was an extremely formative time in my life. Most of the most batshit crazy experiences that helped me become who I am and helped me identify who I wanted to be happened as a Woods Boss. It's where I met my wife, and she was the one, when I was talking about opening a brewery, who suggested that I name it Woods Boss because it's such a big part of my life. But when Chad and I sat down to talk about the name, which I, was really gunning for Woods Boss, he was like, explain it to me. And the thing about it is, it's more than just that job itself, the working with kids out in the woods. It's also a philosophy and a work ethic and a way of interacting with people and trying to bring out the best of each other and all that sort of stuff. And that's the piece that we could all get on board with, I hope.
Yeah, it's taking the name definitely has the root there, but if you expand it to the community and the people around us in our everyday lives, and sharing that experience with people and sharing that philosophy with other folks of, the simple one is you never know who you're sitting next to, or, the silly
Love
saying, but you have that vision, or we have that vision of, the guy in the suit sitting next to, some
Dreadlock hippie
kid, yeah.
Which happens all the time, and they strike up a
Happens all the
conversation.
time now, and forming those creations, it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, what you believe in, anything.
You guys just seem so grounded, both of you. And to not have kids. Do you have a kid? You have a kid now?
No kids. I
You have
no.
one coming.
I have one on the way.
Let's come back when your one on the way is here in a year.
By the way, the beer you just
What was
tried is a beer we call Speaking Truth to Stupid.
Okay. I need that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all need that.
That's
most
good.
days.
What kind of beer was that? I mean,
So it's a jasmine rice saison.
Okay, I was going to
It
say
was actually tail end of a collaboration we did with Stormbreaker from Portland, Oregon. That we released during Great American Beer Fest. So,
okay. So is that the last little bits of it that are left around here?
Yeah, we've got I think maybe 2 kegs left out of a 15-barrel batch.
That had
So,
just a nice little sweet kick right
Yeah.
at the end. You guys, to
easy
your
drinking for 8.5%.
oh, holy shit! Yeah, that's easy drinking. God damn, that's awesome. You guys have some
that one.
killer beer names, by the way, too. I mean, you've got
Yeah, totally.
we just need
is that the guy
another
who,
fucking mic here.
Up against the wall, Redneck Mother.
No, that's Red Keen, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Sorry, 3 names.
You're close.
That last beer is Reveresco, which is our Scotch ale.
It's a good Scotch ale. I hate
And that
Scotch
one's
ales, too.
9.5%.
Thanks,
But
guys.
drinks like it's 6. It's actually
It's okay, honey. It's coming out in 3 weeks, so we're
that actually comes from Chad's background. The name, at any rate.
Yeah.
or the beard.
The name Reveresco is the Maxwell family motto, which is Maxwell's my mother's maiden name.
Okay.
Means noble, or sorry, it means I flourish again.
Oh.
So
And the logo on the bottle, we did a barrel-aged version of it, is really cool. It's like a stump that's been cut down that's starting to sprout again.
Nice.
Yeah.
You guys think about this
which
stuff
is
then.
actually my family logo.
Yeah.
That's
It's,
badass. Okay. So let me ask you, what was the beer that got you into craft beer? What was the
Oh,
beer that
man.
changed everything?
It was probably Shed Mountain Ales, or Shed Brewing Company out of Vermont, called Mountain Ale, and it was one of those beers back in college, but it was I think it was like 7.6%, and it was one of those.
At the time, it was huge.
At that time, it was huge, and it was like our crew could not get enough of it.
Never
Still on
never
the way
before,
home from-
right?
What's that?
You'd never before. You just never tasted anything like it.
Oh man, it was so incredibly unique. From that point forward, it was shed kegs at all kegs,
That's all you guys drank.
and that's it.
So we asked this question a lot, actually, and not everybody knows the answer. But holy shit, did you see the look on Chad's face when he thought of the beer? Like, lit up. Yeah, he lit up. I thought he was going to cry for half a second, honestly. And I mean that in a good way. I have not seen somebody that excited about the beer that turned them to craft beer in a long
yeah.
time. I mean, that we kind of laugh about the question, but that was amazing. So now, Jordan, you got to one up that here in a second, but Sam's got stuff to say first, so it'll give you a minute to compose yourself.
Go ahead, Sam.
Well, like in college, what was the beer you're drinking before that really changed? I mean, not changed, sorry. Go back, like what was the mass consumed beer out on the East Coast at that time? Like what?
Natty.
It wasn't Natty. Okay, really?
Natty, Bud Light was heavy, Coors Light.
What college you go to?
We used to get 12 packs of Meisterbrow in high school for like $2.
The beef, 30 packs for $10.
What school?
St. Michael's College, Burlington, Vermont.
And you?
Yeah.
I actually moved out here for college, 17, starting at CU.
Okay, so nice. That's
and
awesome.
then I kept going west from there.
Just makes total sense.
Yeah, no, I went to like 5 different colleges and grad schools.
You guys ended up okay.
No grad school on my resume, actually. Just a lot of colleges.
Life is grad school, Jay.
Right.
So what was your beer?
Well, first you just had a sip.
Yeah, what was that? That was delicious.
So that's Turbid Mortals. It's our second Belgian Golden Strong. The first one you just had the 2-year version of a little bit earlier. That was that sour one, which we call Secular Morals. The little riff on the idea that there's a lot of different ways of going about the world in the right way, or the wrong way. If that's the way you want to go about it, that's fine too. Anyway, it's a Belgian Golden Strong. Blend of a couple different classic Belgian strains, brewed with Colorado wildflower honey, and then fermented from day one on a small pitch of Brettanomyces clausini. So not overly Brett, but just a nice little funk. Gives it that sort of pineapple-y and apricot, stone fruity note to it as well.
Where do you get your yeast?
We almost entirely get our yeast from Inland Island, though we've also worked with Propagate. Sometimes we get some dry yeast from BSG, depending on what we need, Cephal or something like that. Anyway, that beer is 10.5%.
Jeez.
Also drinks like it's 6%.
Are you going to Big Beers this weekend then?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, that's really smooth, big beer.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So that beer is coming. The first beer with the Secular Morals was in a barrel for 2 years. Second use red wine barrels. Pitched 3 different strains of wild bugs. Let it sit for half a year and then put a bunch of Palisade peaches in it. Let that sit for a year. And then put another year's harvest worth of Palisade peaches in it, and then let it sit for a while. And you're one of the first people to actually get to taste it.
Oh my god!
And we're the first commercial tasting will be at Big Beers.
Wow! Holy shit!
Anyway, my first
that was mind blowing.
It's good beer.
Where is it again? Did you already?
I mean, I can get you more. It's not a problem.
Might need a taste of it.
Anyway,
wait till we're done.
I'm getting that one tested by Firmly. Danny Wang and Emily Wang, formerly owners of Caution, now have this great little business. They're doing really well, actually, called Firmly, where they will come to you, grab samples, and do full lab analytics. Most breweries our size can't afford a lab, don't have the space for it, all that sort of stuff. So, for a small nominal fee, you can get actual tested ABVs, IBUs, check for potential for diacetyl, other off flavors, other things that you either want or don't want in it, which is great. So I think that one's like 12.5%. But we also make small beers too, which is great.
What was your beer?
What was my beer? Oddly enough, so there's like that first beer that blew my mind, like 1.0, and then there was 2.0, and then 3.0, right? So first one, I didn't like beer when I was a kid. I would drink it because that's what people did. Mostly I just smoked a lot of pot from a very young age. If my mother's listening, sorry, she already knows.
Sorry, Mom. Love you, Bob.
Anyway, but I was hanging out with some friends, and this guy I used to know, super pretentious dick, but kind of a cool guy too. Had a half rack of, you know who I'm talking about, right? Like we all have that person in our lives.
That was Jay.
Yeah,
That was Jay.
there it is.
That guy. Yeah.
Totally.
Still hanging out with him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if you didn't know him, he'd be an asshole. But
Yeah.
like since you do, like he's all right.
You give him a pass, you know?
Yeah.
My wife still says that.
Yeah, true story. Anyway, it was Newcastle.
Really?
First beer
Okay.
I ever actually enjoyed. And back then, Newcastle tasted.
So brown
it was-
ale?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the English brown.
Okay.
And then towards the end of high school, it was Dick's Danger. No, sorry. What was it? Pete's Wicked. Sorry, Dick's Danger was out in Washington.
Okay.
That was a great beer. But then after my freshman year of high school, I was ski bumming, living up in Red Cliff outside of Vail.
Okay.
And the old liquor store guy who thought I was 25, never asked me for an ID, only sold Red Hook ESB.
Okay.
And that beer to this day is...
It still is a good beer.
Yeah,
It is.
and I still love ESBs, and I miss them. We brew ESB every year.
It's the name.
And I
It's all
don't care
about
if other
packaging
people
it.
want to drink it. There's enough people who are like, sweet, an ESB doesn't sell fast. We have 20 taps, so I don't mind if something takes a while to sell. Not everything has to be, your hazy that, 3/4 of the people coming in are looking for. What we do here, which we talked about from the get-go and why we have 20 taps, is people would always ask us, like, are you going to specialize? Are you going to niche it out? And I was like, yes.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. We're just going to focus on making really good fucking beer.
That's a hell of a niche.
Yeah. So we don't focus on any one particular style. We have anywhere between, 4 to 6 or 7 hop-forward IPAs or pales on. We always have a few Belgians. We do some English stuff. We do some American stuff. We do some funky, weird shit. We do some clean, traditional California Commons, ESBs, stuff like that. But our conversation was coming back to the idea of community, which is I don't care what you like. I care that you could find something that you want to drink here. And so far, it seems like it's working out.
That's huge. Let me know when the ESB is on again. I hate to do this, guys, but I got to run. I
Yeah.
got to go coach 11-year-old lacrosse. So
Do it.
So that you're sticking
got
me with, that you're sticking them with me? These poor guys. My God. All right. I just got the text message from the wife. I don't have to be home till 8, so. No, it's good. It's good. Take a while. Bye, Jay. Love you. All right, so you two, I'm very intrigued by this. So you liked each other from day one,
Yeah.
kind of?
I mean, we didn't know each other, but I was like, cool guy.
You know, when you meet at a show,
Yeah.
you immediately know you like good music.
How much
you
can you
hang out
tell from
with-
people from the music, by the way?
Say
Like
again?
you can tell a lot from people by the music you listen to, right?
I think so.
Like more so
Yeah.
than anything else.
Yeah, and you can tell more about that person when you actually go to a show and hang out with them for that show,
True.
right?
True.
But we also have mutual friends. I mean, our networks overlapped heavier
Significantly.
than we actually thought from day one.
Okay.
And so yeah, I mean, it was an easy beginning to be able to chat about anything and everything and how we wanted to build a business and what it would look like. And
How do you hire the people who are behind the bar and also back here? I mean, it's got to be kind of a challenge to keep that ethos.
We've been really
embodied.
lucky in that.
we have, and I'm sure everybody says this, but we have an incredible staff here.
Yeah.
I mean, we could not do what we're doing here without each and every one of the folks that are, back here in the brewery and up front behind the bar. And I completely, truly mean that. I mean, every one of them are enthusiastic, excited, and really proud of the brand.
Yeah.
Really proud of who we are, what we're trying to represent. And I mean that as a brewery. I don't know. It's, but it's hard. It's
So-
hard to find good people.
It's got to be.
So we were very intentional when we hired. Yeah, it's a nice thing about the craft beer world. A lot of people like it and want to work in it. So it's a pretty deep pool to start with. But we knew what we were looking for. And, you interview someone and you're like, all right, I think that person's what we're looking for. And I hope that is true. And it's worked out pretty well for us. Of the, not including ourselves, 9 other folks that are working here, 10 if you include like super part-time sort of like fill-in folks that when we need something, we call them up. They're like, hell yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
6 of them have been with us essentially since day one.
Wow.
Which is awesome.
What do you think happens to this area the next 5 years?
Well, I mean, I know what's planned.
Yeah.
If that's what actually happens, I don't know.
As business owners, what do you think happens?
Well, I mean, if you look at the construction, what's being built, and then just the pure number of people that are moving to Denver proper, I mean, the numbers vary a little bit, but from my understanding, it's a 50,000 net, and you've got a housing shortage of about that amount every year. And, I mean, just in our square block alone, we've got, I think it's 1,300 condo and apartment units that have opened up since we opened.
Just in the last 6 months.
Yeah, they've actually just opened the last 6 months. They broke ground, obviously, a year and a half, 2 years ago. But now that's just what's open now. And the back parking lot behind us is planned a 14-story tower. Across the street from us, the bus station, from what I understand, has been sold. They have a limit of 218 feet, I think, that they can build
So
there.
18 stories.
And it's a 15,000 or 50,000 square foot lot, which is a double lot.
So you're fine here? They're not going to wipe
well,
it.
we
Yeah,
think
we're
we're
fine here. Yeah, we're pretty firm in our
Yeah,
in our
I mean, like
lease and-
the downtown's kind of moving over the top of us.
Okay.
So shortly after we signed the lease, they rezoned where we are as a new neighborhood, which is now called Arapahoe Square.
Okay.
That no one knows about. No one's heard about it. Everyone.
It's in Denver Business Journal.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, it's true. And Denver infill and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. These are all things I did not know 2.5 years ago, but I know it now. Anyway, when they rezoned it for high-density residential, commercial, and arts district. They basically would like this strip, which goes from Park Avenue to 20th and from Welton all the way down to the ballpark, to essentially be another nightlife and arts, and so something in between like Rhino and Santa Fe and stuff like that. There's
Well, you're seeing it now with the ballroom, and I mean, there's plenty of stuff that's going on.
totally.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, we think we're going to be fine as far as this goes. I mean, we'll see how the industry shakes out.
it's an exciting time in Colorado and Denver. It's also a pretty scary time.
I was going to say,
too.
yeah,
I
what
mean,
are you worried about? I mean,
You know,
People coming in and drinking beer,
yeah,
mostly.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's concerns that go with a fast influx of people moving to anywhere, right? So we just we're trying to do our part, what we can anyway, to help at least support the small businesses, and those around us, to hopefully grow this area in a pace that is manageable for all of us. And that includes the residents in the area too. I mean, the residents to us are incredibly important to us. We're all here. We got to figure out how to work together to make it all happen. But
When you see something like Boulder Beer Co. shutting down like they did today, what does that make you think as relatively new brewery owners? Is it like, what are the first thoughts that come to your head?
look, it's an industry that is evolving
Yeah.
incredibly fast. I mean, even if you look at the numbers from last year alone, I mean 6 days ago, 2019. Everybody talks about how many breweries have opened. Not as many people had the conversation about how many breweries were closing, and that number's bigger than it has been. But there's a lot of different reasons that go around that, and we don't have to talk about it here. But I think that all industries are evolving. The brewing industry is moving really fast, and we as small business owners and in the brewing industry need to be really methodical about, okay, what is our thing? How are we going to protect ourselves from, whether the industry takes a left or a right? I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So part of the thing we talked about when we first opened was what model, because there's several different models of breweries out there, right? There's your large-scale distro model, nano brewery, brew pub, taproom-focused brewery, which we are, all that sort of stuff. I mean, Boulder Beer Company was the perfect storm of the exact wrong size. They were not quite big enough to be able to be a true regional brewery, but too big to be that sort of hyper craft. Even though they were first craft brewery to open in Colorado 40 years ago, people stopped seeing them like that, right? So it was just perfect storm.
Well, you just said so much. I mean, basically what you just said is so much is brand perception.
Yeah,
Right?
it's true.
How are you maintaining it?
Well,
two.
So there's a couple things that we think we do well. We like to think of ourselves as both a community neighborhood craft brewery, but also as a beer geeks brewery too. Okay. So we kind of hit both of those sides. We're also well situated from downtown. We get a lot of folks coming in from out of town looking to check out breweries. I mean, we're the Napa of beer in this country. It's easy to argue that there are other places that are that as well, and that's great. There's a few different things. So by staying focused on the tap room, it allows us to, one, not have to brew more than we really need or want to, which allows us to stay lean from a cost perspective. Anyone will tell you that margins are best over your bar. If you're selling kegs or cans, you're getting, small percentage of the value of the beer itself.
Dollars versus cents, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no one likes to watch the sausage being made or talk about it, but this is what it is, right? But there's benefits to that as well, not just the margins on it, which is it allows people to have our beer the way it was intended over the bar, where it's made. We control the beer from grain to glass all the way through. We're tasting it every single day. If there's something wrong with it, we know right off the bat and pull it immediately. It's only had to happen like twice out of 180 beers. One just aged out, another one had an infection, and we fucking dumped it. We do a small amount of keg sales to bars and restaurants around town, but again, that's that hyper-local thing.
So are you okay with that? Like, moving forward, this is the place where you come to get the Woods Boss beer?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I mean, we sell to bars and restaurants around town in order to – it's a form of marketing, right? We don't make a lot of money on it, but it allows us to keep the beer fresh, move it along, as well as introduce ourselves to people who might not have heard of us. Right. There are people who live 6 blocks away that walk in, on a regular basis. We've been here almost 2.5 years, and they're like, God, I've never even heard of you guys, and they live 6 blocks away.
And we do small distribution in some of our bottles, and if we do small canning runs, we'll do small select liquor stores in town, small batches to them. They're stoked, and it goes. That's not our primary source, so we don't concentrate on distribution from that perspective, but we do have retail here in the tap room too, so you can come in and take a 4-pack or take bottles to go.
Crowlers
to go.
But do you feel that pressure ever? I mean, the question is always is, are you going to distribute? Are you going to scale all this shit?
We get it all the time.
Get that a lot.
We're like, no.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's as it should be, right?
We're happy with our model.
Yeah, our growth model is to try to replicate this type of experience in other communities.
Yeah.
If we ever get to that point. It works out well. I mean, the other benefit is we actually get to see our customers enjoying our beer and talk to them about it and share stories and all that sort of stuff. We talk about the concept of third space, right? So first space being home, second space being work, third space being where you go for enjoyment and community. And that's what this place is all about. And we see it on a daily basis. And we just as soon keep our liquid gold here for those folks.
Makes total sense. Love it.
Liquid gold.
I heard that.
Anything you want to promote? Now, assuming this comes out in 2 weeks, is there anything you want to promote as we move into spring almost?
Hisolda's coming out. It's good beer.
It's good beer.
It's dead time, right, for breweries?
Yeah,
This time of year is kind of...
Pretty slow.
Here's actually what I would
Slower.
say. For those of you who haven't been in, come check us out.
Yeah.
And for those of you who have been in and enjoyed it, or thinking about giving us a second chance, come on in. We are changing our tap menu on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 20 beers on tap. There's about 5 that are year-rounders, and the other 15 are seasonal, maybe one time ever. And there's always something new on if it's been even a couple weeks, which is great. But the other thing I'd say is we have a ton of events going on all the time. We have live music 4 to 5 days a week. We do a ton of stuff with nonprofits, and are always hosting, benefit nights where we're trying to raise money for nonprofits and donating, a portion of the night's sales to those folks, and all sorts of stuff. So, check out our website, check out the Facebook events. There's a ton of really cool stuff going on that there's a lot of noise out there. So unless you're going looking for it, it might not wander across your feed, I think is the terminology. Is that
Feed, radar.
Yeah, turn on your notifications for Woods Boss.
Right.
absolutely?
You too. Thank you so much. Jay left, which is probably a good thing.
How'd you get into this, by the way? What was your gateway beer?
Yeah, why don't we turn this around?
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys.
And
I need more attention. No, I mean, I did so I got my PhD, and I needed in rhetoric, digital rhetoric. So literally,
that's actually
my background is digital persuasion.
Is it okay if I name a beer a PhD in rhetoric?
No, you should.
Okay.
Although you can't double. We just made a beer for Tivoli. Another professor and I made it called "We're Not Real Doctors, Mom."
I won't call it
because it's
that.
a PhD.
Yeah, totally.
Made a smash beer over there. It was my first beer that I've made.
Single malt, single hop.
Yeah, but I've never made a beer, and for my beer to be made in the lab, and I feel like I was telling my wife I should get a kit, and she's like, no, just make it at the lab at Tivoli because they let you make beer there.
We actually do that
okay.
too.
Yeah, it's the fucking most fun in the world.
Yeah,
it's a blast.
We have what we call our Shadow Brewers program.
Okay.
When we first opened, so Chad and I work the bar every Wednesday.
Okay.
We're both busy, but we really like being behind the bar
Yeah.
1 day a week, getting to talk to folks and
Yeah, you have
whatever.
to, right?
Yeah, but when we first started, it was me, Chad, and Ryan. Ryan, our head brewer, Ryan Logan, who we were brewing together at Tommy Knocker together, and when we first met, also weird concentric circles of friends and family. But I told him that we hit it off right off the bat. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be starting my own brewery someday, and I want you to come with me because our philosophies on beer and our work ethic and all that sort of stuff. We have a lot of fun together, all that sort of stuff. He's like, great, we'll see if that ever happens.
Yeah.
And we stayed in touch, and a year later, I was like, yeah, signed a lease, get ready. I remember. Oh yeah, so. Ryan and me and Chad would work behind the bar, and folks would come in and we'd be talking to them, and they'd be like, how do you learn how to do it? We're like, come on in and brew with us.
Yeah.
Like, really? Yeah, just people off the street. We're like, sure, why not? And after doing that for a few months, we're like, we should probably formalize this. So the Shadowed Brewer program, you can sign up, and eventually, it takes a little while, but I'll get a hold of you and have you come in and spend a day brewing with us. It's usually no more than 2 or 3 folks with either me or Ryan. Usually awesome. Ryan, because he's doing most of the brewing, and any level experience from don't even know how beer is made to professional brewers have come in and hung out and brewed with us.
Dude, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's
And everyone has to get the Costanza on the barrels at the end. We get pictures of it. Yeah, we've got a wall of shame going.
Oh, my God.
I mean, a digital rhetoric wall of shame. But
I'm going to start doing it with my kids because, you can do different science experiments. And I was
Sure.
like, Mom, let's just do this in the kitchen and make beer.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, yeah, let's do it. Like, this would be fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's the simplest thing
Not
to
that
make.
hard.
No.
It's a great experience. You learn a lot. You get to hang out and have a good time and
Yeah.
meet great people. And that's what beer's all about, right? I mean,
It's so true.
It's a social community beverage that we all just love.
It's so good, too, man. I mean, my first beer was probably, like, good beer, Fat Tire in Iowa. I grew up in Iowa.
Oh.
Like, that's the first thing that we got was kind of that. So,
Yeah.
but I would say the
98-ish.
Yeah. I graduated college in 06. So, shit.
You're youngin'.
I'm a youngin'. I mean, 200 Ale kind of changed everything
Yeah,
for me.
totally.
Like, that was,
Hell
wow.
Buddy Wayne Burns helped develop that recipe.
Holy
the story
shit.
goes.
Yeah, that's still, it shouldn't be an IPA because it's not, but it's a really good APA.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's
Bell's is the shit.
Goose Island too. I mean, everything was coming into Iowa then, but we learned a lot. Like when I went to Revolution, so apparently you get outside of Chicago and you view the Goose Island purchase in a very negative way.
Same thing with Breckenridge.
But in Chicago, it's like, no, because Goose Island basically got all the money they needed to actually do beer that they wanted to do. So
Right.
everything's barrel-aged and fucking awesome.
You know-
You can go there and make
Crazy.
good beer. Yeah, yeah.
Look, here's the thing with big beer buying out small beer. I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the people who put their blood, sweat, and tears got offered a shitload of money, and the ability to do it well funded. Like I'm not going to judge that. I'm also not going to spend my money on big beer when I can support local small craft
local,
breweries,
sure.
folks that I know, and folks that are scratching it out and trying to do something special and different and don't have deep pockets. Sure. I'm not going to tell anyone not to drink there, but I'll tell people they might consider how they spend their money.
What's your favorite brewery in town?
Or
Or who makes the best beer? Not your favorite beer. But do you think
That's a hard question, though.
I
know, you don't
My
have to-
first, I'll actually say the first one that came to my mind was actually Hogshead.
yeah.
Yeah.
But man, the list goes on. It depends on what kind of beer you want. Well, where are you gonna go to get
So what's your favorite kind of beer? Your favorite style?
today?
Right.
Just
Today.
Yes, today.
Yeah.
Well, today I'm drinking a Foothills Fire Red Ale. So
So you have red ale.
look,
Today.
I love the Scotch Ale.
Yeah.
That's probably my go-to here anyway. But there's that's during the wintertime, and then
Porters.
God, I don't know, porters and browns. I mean, my favorite style.
Belgians.
My favorite styles. I would probably go to a porter.
Okay.
That would
Me too.
Be my favorite style.
And that's not really
But-
one that a lot of people make
And it's
do.
not one that people make well all the time.
all the time. So who's got a good old porter always on?
Gilpin Black Gold.
Yeah.
Over at Hogshead.
Yeah.
Totally. Look, I mean, Black Butte Porter built that brewery. I mean, it's crazy. It's an amazing beer. We've had a porter on since day one, up until we just ran out of our last porter about a month ago. But we've got a Baltic in the tank today. I was brewing this morning, so that'll be out in 6 weeks. We love porters. I always want to do a porter festival. It would be poorly attended, but it'd
Be good.
Yeah. So here's my answer to your two questions. One, who do I think is the best brewery in town? There's not an answer to that.
Yeah.
There's so many people making really good beer that it's not just the beer either, right? It's also the experience, the environment,
the people.
The people. There are breweries whose beer I love, but I don't really go there because I don't like the people behind the bar because they're kind of dicks.
Well, you can go to other places.
I'm not going to say who those people are, but
If you're going to make it here, you have to make good beer. Like,
Yes.
you have to.
Right. So-
Otherwise, you don't last.
It's absolutely true, but it can't just be about making great beer anymore because so many people are doing it. There's also the rest of the experience, right? Is the tap room comfortable? Or the folks behind the bar friendly and knowledgeable, and all that sort of stuff? Is it, within walking distance? Maybe that's your thing. Like it's more than just that, because you can go 2 miles and hit 25 great breweries that are all doing great stuff, different stuff. So it depends on what your bag is. Similar to Chad, it's my answer is, as far as here goes, I always tell people to go fuck themselves, because they're all my children.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I love them all. But it depends on the day, like what the weather's doing, what I'm eating.
How about this then?
Time of day.
I'll change up the question.
Yes.
Not your favorite. What's one kind of up and coming brewery that has surprised you, that you think has really good beer?
Here's the other problem. I live at this brewery and I sleep at home, so I don't get to go out as much as I would like. I've got a lot of friends who, I try to stop by every now and again, all that sort of stuff. But some of the ones that opened this year that we're friends with, that we know are doing great stuff. So Flight Co. Over in the Berkeley neighborhood, as well as Emporium, both doing killer work. Racy's just opened. Great guys. One of the few fully Latino owned breweries. Not the only, but
I've heard that place is awesome.
few.
Yeah.
Dos Listas is also Latino owned. Those 3 that just opened this year that I'm personally familiar with are all great and new. And if you haven't heard of them, go check them out.
Check them out. Yeah. Well, gents, because we got to go off the record pretty soon,
Yep.
let's do a cheers. And I got to take a leak. Thank you, Chad. Hey, Jordan. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you
got
so
it, Sam.
much.
Thank
Jay is gone, for good or for bad.
Good times.
Thanks so
Great
much,
oldies.
dudes. Cheers. Exactly. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.